Welcome, welcome. So today I would like to explore what the mind calls darkness. True exploration into seeing what is this really. And the mind's idea of darkness is anything the mind really is afraid of. You know, in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao, which is the way, what is taught is that the Tao was born, the way to God was born out of the darkness. The reason for this is that where you experience the light, there is no obscuration. It is where the experience is of darkness that there is obscuration. And the wisdom of the Tao is that this will come up to be seen by the light of consciousness. When there is challenge, whether it is physical or emotional or situational, and one really goes in to explore what is this. If there is any fear of it, it's impossible to do true exploration. So initially, for most, there might be some subtle or obvious fear thoughts. So you just sit, and eventually these will calm. And as they come, you go into it. You go into it. If you're going into it to get rid of it, it cannot work because you're experiencing it through the perceptive senses of the mind body. But you go into the energy. You fall all the way into it. And what is discovered is that what the mind calls darkness is raw, wild passion, raw, wild passion. And the merging with it is wildly ecstatic. Cannot happen if you go into it trying to feel ecstasy. It's opening fully into what the mind fears and remaining until the fear processes of the mind eventually relax. And then diving right into what the mind has called the issue. And what is discovered is this wild passion, this ecstatic passion that can make the body howl and scream, but it's ecstatic. In this, there is the recognition that darkness is not darkness. It is just a conditioned perception from the egoic mind that causes what is called darkness to create its challenge. But it's all coming out of the wisdom. It is all an offering. And where it is challenging and intense, it is just remaining until the mind's story relaxes and then merging with the energy of it. And the energy is pure Shakti. It's alive. It's the creative aspect of the divine, alive, on fire. When there is no challenge, it is so easeful to just feel the infinite space of your being. It is when the appearance of challenge arises that there is the true potential to discover God, not by searching for God, but by opening into what the teaching is. And how you open into the teaching is to strip away conditioned thoughts and to fall all the way into it. So it's not you aware of it, it's just the energy itself. It's just the energy vibrating. And then you get to feel God's passion in its creation. And it fuels this love for all humanity. All humanity. The willingness to go into what is called the darkness is the warrior, not engaging in battle, just not running from anything, and falling into what is being presented all the way. And then the discovery is that there is no darkness, there is no enemy. It was all contrivance of the conditioned mind. That the nature of consciousness is that it expands and contracts, just like the in-breath and the out-breath. The expansion phase creates all of the experiences of pleasure. The contractive phase creates all of the experiences of problem and challenge. But when you are not contracted and you are not frightened, and you go into the depths of the contractive phase of consciousness, you discover Shakti. You discover this wild energy that is filled with passion and alive and has come into the play, the earth play, to transform the myth that there is such a thing called darkness. It is spoken that you can only feel love to the degree that you can receive pain. It's true. But when you learn to receive pain, it's no longer pain, it's energy. It's contractive energy. And it's wildly alive. And it's intensely beautiful. And it's right here. Either you're tasting the vastness of yourself and just resting in it, or you dive all the way into the contractive phase. The contractive phase is like the in-breath. The in-breath requires energy, and the exhale is the release. In the release is the expansion phase. In the inhale is the contractive phase. But what is discovered is it's all equally beautiful. And being with the contraction opens the doorway into true fearlessness. Fearlessness is the recognition that everything is the teaching tailor made for you in the evolution of your soul. And the doorway into this freedom is through the venue of what your mind calls the darkness, until there is no fear of darkness, and then there is no darkness. What remains on the surface is expansion and contraction. It's the way Shakti breathes. But the inhaled breath is not better than or less than the exhaled breath. It's a flow. It's a flow from the perception of I have it to the perception of I've lost it. But that's just a flow, like the inhale and the exhale. It's the expansion and contraction of consciousness. The doorway is in discovering yourself in the face of what the mind has construed to be the issue, to just fall all the way into whatever is being offered in the moment. This is the key. To receive God's teaching. This is the key. To remove the habit of distraction and just be open to whatever is offered without any mental overlay. So you wait until the mental overlay dissolves, and then the door swings open, and then the door swings wide open. And whether it is the contractive phase or the expansive phase, or maybe a flavor of both playing, it does not matter. What matters is receiving the teachings that come into manifest expression because of the wisdom that is offering everything, such that the conscious nature of yourself can realize itself. So, what is not in a contractive or an expansive phase is revealed. What is completely still is revealed, not by seeking stillness, but by receiving the teaching all the way. And the byproduct is the taste of the stillness that is not a phase. It's not an opening or a closing, a contraction or an expansion. It is the complete stillness that is the nature of yourself, that is infinite. It's infinite. From the place of what is infinite, all of the changes that occur in the play become almost unrecognizable because it's all appearance. Everything is appearance except the self. And the self is everything, including the appearance. And it comes out of this wisdom, which constructs all of it perfectly for your freedom. When you have no fear of the mind's fears, and you open the door of the heart to what the mind wants to run from, and then you are the spiritual warrior, and you cannot be defeated because the truth of who you are is untouched. But you can only know it if you're ready to dive all the way into everything that is being offered. This is known as true surrender. True surrender is strength, it's not weakness. It lives eternally, not temporarily. Eventually you discover that you are the surrender. You don't have to look for it. When you've learned to receive the teachings, it becomes self-evident that you are the surrender to the beloved in all of its flavors, in all of its teachings, in all of its disguises. You are the welcoming of God's wisdom, and this alone will carry you home to yourself, which is here now. How could you not be here now? You are the open receptacle that is not a doing. It is the nature of your existence. The journey is the journey into complete surrender. Complete surrender is complete strength and fearlessness. And then you discover that there is the passion end of it, which is what the mind called the darkness, the conflict. And there is the deep peace and wholeness. The passion comes out of creation, the wholeness, the sense of peace, the stillness. Is the flavor of the unchanging self. So the self morphs into creation to taste the passion of the artist, the passion of humanity, passion of humanity taking care of humanity by receiving divinity, not by searching for it, by receiving everything as it is. And then you discover everything is divinity, that humanity is divinity, that they're not separated, and that you are unmoving, and you are infinite, and nothing touches you. But when there is the experience of contraction and the experience of disturbance, there is the confidence and the knowingness. It's all arising from the one source, and the readiness to receive, even if the mind perceives what you're receiving as the devil. When you have no fear, there is no devil, there is no demon. There is only the self, living in itself, through itself, for itself, as itself, luminous. And in the loss of the fear of the challenge, the taste of the passion and the love really roots itself. Just to feel the rooted nature of your being and receive the teachings that are being offered from the Beloved. Always, always, only in this moment, in reality, that has no connection with the imagination of a past, with the imagination of an identity, with the imagination of knowledge, and just the wide open sky, receiving the human teachings. In this moment, receiving what is, which is receiving reality, which is receiving God. Feeling the unmoving stillness that is open to whatever the play has to offer, and eventually stands alone as the self, yourself, in this unchanging, eternal moment. And then you begin to feel the light, which is your true nature. When you are fully open to receiving what is called the darkness, then you begin to discover yourself as the light, as the subtle body, the light body, which is the soul. And when fear is finished, relationship with the content of the mind is finished. It is fear that binds the attention to the mind. And when fear is finished, you just feel phenomena passing through the infinite space of your being that is untouched. Thank you all for satsang.